Hello, my name is Brandon, and I did my research on the Ebola virus. So looking at today's agenda, we'll be going over background information on Ebola, the symptoms that Ebola causes, the treatment options for Ebola, and the last is current treatment that's under research that I actually looked into for my literature review paper. So let's get right into it. So what is Ebola? Ebola is a rare and deadly disease caused by infection with one of the Ebola virus species. Ebola can infect humans and non-human primates. As for how it's spread, Ebola is spread through direct contact, such as through broken skin or mucous membranes, with either the blood or bodily fluids from a person who is sick or has died from Ebola. Objects like syringes and needles that have been contaminated with the bodily fluids from a person who's sick with Ebola. And also possibly contact from with semen from a man who's recovered from Ebola. And why has Ebola been recently talked about? Well, Ebola actually is nothing new. It was discovered at in the Democratic Republic of Congo in 1976, and then it wasn't until recently in March of 2014 that there was actually a huge outbreak in West Africa of the Ebola virus, which actually caused a national emergency. So that's why recently Ebola was being talked about. So looking at the symptoms of Ebola, so the incubation period, such as when symptoms start showing up, is normally 2 to 21 days. Humans aren't infectious until they actually start developing the symptoms. As for the diagnosis for Ebola, it's actually pretty difficult to distinguish Ebola from other infectious diseases such as malaria, typhoid fever, and meningitis. But confirming that the symptoms are indeed caused by Ebola are made through the following techniques, such as antibody capture, enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay, antigen capture detection tests, serum neutralization tests, reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction assay, electron microscopy, and virus isolation by cell culture. Then, as for the symptoms for Ebola, the first symptoms start with usually a fever, fatigue, muscle pain, headache, and sore throat. And then this is normally followed by vomiting, diarrhea, rash, and symptoms of impaired kidney and liver functions. So looking at the treatment options. So there are techniques for improving survivability with people that are infected from Ebola. So such as, or one of these treatments is supportive care rehydration with oral or intravenous fluids. This is basically this is just for improving survivability. So as of right now, there's no proven treatment available for Ebola. And also there are no licensed vaccines for Ebola as well, but there are currently a couple that are undergoing human safety testing. So now, going into a possible treatment that I was looking into. So there's a current study on the Prunella vulgaris. So the Prunella vulgaris is essentially a Chinese herb that scientists were researching to see its effects on the Ebola virus. So basically, the Ebola virus, it infects its host through the through its glycoprotein. So this is where this is where it enters into human cells, is through this glycoprotein. And what the scientists found was that the Prunella vulgaris actually inhibited the Ebola virus's glycoprotein. So the study that I was looking at showed that this herb was able to block it, but they weren't really sure how it was blocking the glycoprotein. Anyways, why is this beneficial for stopping Ebola? So this is beneficial because due to the Ebola virus's glycoprotein being inhibited, the Ebola virus would no longer be able to attach itself to the host cell, which would basically kill it off, and it would prevent it from being spread as well. Also, this was like the main part of the treatment, but there's also another discovery while they were using it to treat Ebola. So the other discovery was that by combining the Prunella vulgaris with an anti-Ebola virus antibody called 2G4 could actually increase the potency of 2G4. So while this would be good, they stated that there's a disadvantage because the 2G4 antibody is limited, and that there should be another alternative to look for an antibody, an anti-Ebola virus antibody. So the conclusion of the article was stating that there should be extended research in looking into extracting the active ingredients from this from the Prunella vulgaris because of its anti-Ebola properties that were demonstrated in the test, and it's also relatively cheap to purchase. And this concludes my video on the Ebola virus. And there are the sources.